Could you please state your name?
Hima Kolanagireddy.
Okay.
Hima. Last name is Kolanagireddy.
Okay, so that's Kolanagireddy.
That is
Great. And are you a resident of Michigan?
correct.
For how many years have you been a resident of Michigan?
19 years.
Okay. And so you are over the age of 18, I have to ask. Okay. And so just to be clear, we are only going to be discussing things today that you personally witnessed or experienced.
Correct.
Okay, just make sure we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So what days this year were you involved with the election?
I was there both days, 11/03 and 11/04.
Okay, so election day and the day after.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where were you on the 3rd?
On the 3rd, we were on the, where the counting was happening, like in the TCF.
The TCF,
building.
okay. What time did you get there?
6:30.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Okay, and what time did you leave that day?
8:30.
PM or AM?
PM.
Okay. And how about on the 4th? Where were you
On the 4th, we got an email that, they were looking for poll workers to go. So we went there at 11:30.
Okay. At the TCF again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you got there at 11:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you stay?
We left at 1:30 a.m. the next morning.
Okay. Okay, and what was your role when you were there?
I was a poll watcher.
Okay. Who were you representing?
The first day I was with the GOP, like the Trump victory.
Okay.
Second day, actually I got 2 trainings, both from Trump victory and also from election integrity. So the second day I figured that I should more be a non-partisan, so people are not like in my face. So I just took those credentials.
Interesting. So did you perceive that people were in your face because you were affiliated with the Republican Party?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, so
The moment people looked at me, they just assumed that I'm a Democrat because, I'm a brown person.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment I have my GOP tag visible, they are like, oh, okay, And then the next day when I had a nonpartisan tag, which it just said challenger, they were like a lot more respectful, even at the counting boards. So that to me, like that's exactly the reason why I gave up my GOP and I said, okay, Tim Griffin from Election Integrity. I asked him for my credentials because I also got trained through them. And then when I wore that badge, I was able to stand at the table, obviously, because they can have a non-partisan. But I clearly saw at the table and even by the Democrats, right? They were literally targeting the Republicans.
Okay.
So I picked up a couple of fights with some people, but then they're like, "Why are you supporting them?" And I said, "Because I'm a nonpartisan. I can support when you guys are not doing right." When they were trying to get people out, I literally got in the middle, put myself in the middle of a lot of those wars, and then they would back off because I'm a not nonpartisan, also because I'm a brown and I can get away with some stuff maybe.
Okay.
Sorry. I mean, that's what I felt that day. I felt like they were literally targeting the white Republican people. I'm like, this is not fair.
Okay. Let me catch up with you.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about your experiences the first day when they were just treating you like a Republican.
The first day, I think it was more like nothing much was getting done. They were going at a snail pace. The ballots were piling up. They were really not doing anything. We were getting tired standing because nothing was really happening. The table that I was assigned to, they literally were sleeping because they had nothing to do. And the little that they had, the first thing they said is, you need to back off 6 feet. And I was really not able to see anything much from 6 feet.
Who told you that?
The table where I was.
The poll workers?
Poll workers.
Okay. Well, do you know which tables you were working at?
130. I was assigned to 124.
Okay. Were you there both days?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think the first day, because nothing much was happening in terms of them doing at the table, I was asked to stand behind a tabulator. because they were processing the ballots that were, I think processed the day before. So tabulator was assigned to me. I was at ICC 6, number 6. So I was behind them, like 5 and 6, both of them. So I was just watching that they don't, scan the same once again. So that was what pretty much I've done almost all of that day, because they were really not processing many ballots that day. But by evening, they got a ton of ballots. They just kept piling them on the table. And when I asked them, why are you guys not processing them? They're like, we don't know. I think my precinct really was a small precinct. They really didn't have a lot of ballots, even both of those days. But there were certain tables which were really overloaded because I think maybe they had a lot more population in those precincts. Okay. But they were not distributing that work to the other tables. Most of the poll workers were just sitting and chatting and sleeping. But the ones that were working, which were not my tables, like let's say 45 or 42, 43, 44, 45, those were like kind of really busy. But anyways, when the ballots were all piling up and they were not sorting them out, they were not giving it to the tables. That was the one question I asked one of the supervisors. I said, why are they piling up? Why are you not giving it to anybody? Everybody's just sitting idle. He's like, we have our directions. We know to do our job. I said, okay.
So did you understand that they were instructed to
correct
slow down on the third?
That's what my feeling was, because there was no reason for them not to sort and give them to the tables, especially when everybody was just sitting doing nothing. And they were literally even like taking a nap because they had nothing to do.
Okay. So what did you, was there one particular incident that made you want to not use your GOP credentials the next day, or was it just a general feeling of, a general bad feeling?
Yeah, no, there was one particular incident. There were certain young girls that walked in like in the morning, and they were like dancing, and they're like, okay, we are like, it was almost like, okay, we're going to get these people in trouble. And I was right there when that girl was singing that, and in the back, like almost towards the wall.
What was she singing?
We're going to get this bad language out. Okay. And then...
were they directing that towards you?
Not me, because like as I said, they would... Second day, I didn't have my previous day credentials like a badge or anything. I just had like a paper which I put it inside my file. So I really didn't have anything hanging in my neck.
Okay.
So automatically they assume I'm a Democrat because of my color. So they're like, we are here to these people out, something like that.
Was this happening the first day or the second
day?
The second day is when you saw this behavior. Okay, got it.
Because these young people were not there the previous day. They just are very young, maybe like in college. I think another person said, they came in with the Black Lives Matter, and the cops said that you can't wear those kind of things. You have to take them out. So they took those out. They were, a lot of those people were Black. Except one was white, and they were singing that, thinking that I was probably one of them, or Democrat. Then I'm like, okay, I mean, if you're coming in with the objective of getting people out, I was like, okay, whatever is happening. Then they were targeting one old guy. For some reason, they all thought I was an attorney, but anyways, I was okay with being an attorney for a while. So they just targeted this guy, and they were trying to get him out. And then I put myself right in the middle of that war, whatever was happening. I said, what is happening? She's like, who are you? And then I said, then somebody said, yeah, okay. And then this old guy immediately looked to me and said, you know what? I was not doing anything. They're just trying to get me in trouble. I said, what is your problem with him? He's taking pictures. Then he's like, no, I wasn't taking pictures. He's an old guy. So he put his phone far back, trying to text. And they thought he was taking a picture. Okay. Then I said, does he have any pictures? Then he's like, yeah, look at my phone. I don't have any. No, he deleted it. I said, they go to deleted items and check. Do you see anything? She said, no. Then I said, then on what basis then are you trying to get him out? She's like, why are you putting yourself in the middle of this? Then I said, why should I not? Then I pulled my GOP tag out. Then she's like, you are on the wrong side. You shouldn't even be taking his side. Then I said, no, I will take the side which is right. What is your basis to get him out? You have no proof. She said, he had his phone like this in front of him, and I saw him taking pictures. I said, you know what, and I pointed to the other white girl, and I said, I have seen her put her phone like that, and I also felt she was taking pictures. Maybe she should go out too. And she was her friend. Then she's like, you know what? And then she immediately backed off. And then I said, I need to see your credentials.
Mm-hmm.
Because none of them had tags. They had no names, nothing. Who are you representing? She said, we're the Democrats. They just had a dot. I said, no, I need to see your credentials. I need to know that you got trained and you have credentials. And then, oh, we don't have like tag or anything, but I just have this. And she pulled out like a card which said, Democratic Party, whatever, their thing. And her name, then she showed me her ID because her name was not on it. I don't have that document with me, but then I just took down her name.
Uh-huh.
Then she tried to call me, so I don't actually take down her name. I just walked away from there. So they left the guy alone because, I just intervened. But then when he went back to his table, they again, swarmed around him and got him out.
Huh. So what was this person's name that told you you were on the wrong side?
She's an African-American girl. I don't know.
Okay.
Young. The other girl who gave me her ID, I had it written down and I gave it to Tim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is Tim?
From Election Integrity Fund.
Okay, gotcha.
That's when I said, you know what? So when I went to another table, because I was just at this point just going from table to table, because my table had nothing to do. The moment I come, these people on the poll workers, they would be like that, that there's somebody here.
When they were gesturing to each other?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel that the poll workers were colluding with the people representing the Democrats?
Definitely, yeah. They almost would get up and complain to a Democrat like it was their friend. I'm like,
yeah.
You have, and then when I'm trying to talk to them, they'd say, you're not supposed to talk to us. Then one day, I did ask one of the ladies, I said, but you just talk to her. Because the Democrat girl, if the rule applies, you shouldn't talk to either of us, right? Not even a non-partisan person. So that's when I walked up to Tim and I said, can I get my badge? Because you know what, this is kind of getting ugly. But then that badge kind of gave me power like a Democrat because I was now able to talk to them and they didn't know what to do with me, a brown non-partisan person. So it was, then I really helped a lot of other GOP people when they were attacking them. I was putting myself right there and then taking their side. So it was like two versus the ACLU was there. They would not even open their mouth, but they would always tag along with the Democrats. We all know that they were pretty much on the same side. So now I was putting myself with a GOP person. So it was two people and two people of them. So it was like equal strength. But what they were doing is they were isolating each GOP person, attacking them, saying something, getting them out. It was like, and then when that was happening, the thing that really bothered me was when all these poll workers would see something like that happening, they would all get up and clap. I am like, the vitriol, I'm like, what is that? I wouldn't want even a Democrat to be kicked out like that or be taken out in handcuffs. Why are they so happy about somebody just doing their job? It's not like they were just there with guns or saying something bad. No, they were just doing their jobs. They would just, oh, he had his phone out. Oh, he's looking at this. Oh, he's too close to us. No, his mask slipped. Those are the reasons they were trying to get these people out.
And they cheered when they were kicked out.
Oh, yes. It was also on the news, the Channel 7 News. Today they were cheering when people were taken out.
So did you see any Democrats get ejected?
No, not a single one.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell me about what you saw? Were you there did you ever see the windows being covered up?
Yes.
Were you there when that happened?
There.
Okay. So how did that happen?
I was not sure because I was on the other end of the hall, but all of a sudden one of the guys was handcuffed and he was being taken out. And then when I turned, cops were there. And I think it was not cops that were just covering the windows. I think it was just the Democrats who just were putting I don't even know where they got those sheets or I don't know, the boards or whatever they got.
So it was the Democrat poll challengers or the actual paid poll workers who were doing that?
I don't think those were the poll workers because poll workers were all wearing white and black.
Okay. So the window's covered by the Democrat challengers.
Yes, I think. Yeah, because I don't think I really saw poll workers doing that because they were all at their tables. Cops were there for sure. And then there were normal people. So I didn't know who those people were that were covering it. But then I was a little far away. And then they were cheering. That's when I'm like, why are they cheering? This time nobody's getting ejected. Why are they cheering, right? Then I saw that that's because
Right.
they were covering those windows.
So there was something you said. I'm trying to remember what it was. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, did you challenge any ballots while you were there?
I was at a table.
You don't have to tell me which one right now.
No, I'm just trying to think. So what happened was it was almost on the 4th. They were processing these ballots like towards the evening. I would say more like 4 or 6 o'clock. They were processing like little chunks of ballots, like a box with probably I'd say 50.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were processing them, and it had a note on top of it. It said not in EPB/S.
Okay.
Election poll book or system.
Okay.
That's what I figured from
So is that saying that the voter who supposedly sent that ballot was not in the system?
Not in the system or the poll book, both.
Okay. Gotcha.
So they opened this, and that's when I thought, when I saw the note, I'm like, not EPB/S, what could it be, right? Then I stood there watching, and then every time they would scan the ballot, nothing would come in the system. That's when I figured out, I just kind of filled in my own thing saying it's not an election poll book, because they were not referring to the poll book either. The places where it was not showing in the system in some tables, they were able to find it in the poll book. But this one, they were not in both of them. So what they started doing with these ballots was, because it was not in the system and they were not even checking the poll book because they already knew that these were not even in both of them, they were entering them manually, like names of people.
The poll workers are doing this?
Poll workers were entering these names manually. The name and the address and the assigned ballot number. And they would also have a voter number, I think. They would, and then this lady would call out saying voter number and the ballot number to the next person. So after she would enter, and then she would just log that voter. So then I asked, why are they not any of them? She's like, you can't talk to me. I said, okay, I'll talk to your supervisor. Then I called the supervisor and I said, why is it not in either of them? They're like, if you have an issue, you need to go talk to them, like the people on the stage. Then at that point, somebody told me that, no point even like asking anything, because at this point, everything needs to be challenged. So I said, fine. And then I stood there and I was just writing down like, the ballot number, just the last name of the person. And then I noticed that there was no date of birth coming up. Then I asked the supervisor, I said, how would you know the date of birth of the person? Because nothing is coming up. The clerk's office has already made sure of all of this before sending it to us. I said, okay. And then I said, who's verifying the signature? The clerk's office. Then I said, okay, fine. And then I was noticing that it was the same exact signature, like, like a graph, up and down signature on every one of them. And then I leaned forward, like I took one step forward to see the date on the ballots. It said November 0 space, no digit there, comma, 2020. Then I asked the supervisor, what is the date on that one? I don't see the second letter after 0. At which point he just moved the box away and he's like, we're doing our job, you're really disturbing us, kind of thing. I'm like, then I went to the attorneys that were there. I said, you know what, I think those ballots don't even have the date on them. And it says November 0 space. I don't even know, and then they're like, and then that's the attorney who said, at this point, we're going to challenge all of these. I said, okay. And then I went back to my spot, and then I stood there. And I'm writing down the number of the ballots and then their last name and just looking at the system, helping them whenever they're getting stuck, because they really didn't know when they were getting stuck. I'm like, no, you need to unlock it and then enter it.
Did they actually record your challenge?
Who?
The supervisors, did they record your challenge properly?
No.
They refused to do so?
They refused to do so, yeah. They just moved the box away because and then they said, you need to back off. I said, okay.
So you said you saw the same signature on all the ballots.
It's like, let's say if David, right?
Yeah.
You would at least expect the first letter to be there properly. No, it was like.
Huh. And they told you the clerk's office already verified the signature and
the date
address.
of birth.
And the address or the date of birth or both?
I didn't ask about the address. They said about the signature and the date of birth. I said because the date of birth for normal ballots comes up on the screen.
Uh-huh.
For this, it was all empty, so they're entering it manually, but there's no date of birth. So I said they're not entering the date of birth, obviously, because the ballot doesn't tell them. So I said, how about the date of birth? How do you know this person is eligible to vote? And then he's like, the clerk's office, before sending it to them, has already done all that. I said, okay. I don't know what the process is, so I just at that point said, okay, maybe that is how it's done. Then when I was entering all of that, the thing I noticed, now I'm just sitting and, just leaning to the pillar and just writing down ballot number, last name, just looking at the screen. And then when I was looking at all my ballot numbers, they were in almost like a consecutive serial numbers. 2232 is where it started. Then I got 32234. After 3 ballots, it was 2233. Then I'm like, how can they have consecutive ballot numbers, pretty much a series of ballot numbers from 2232 to almost 3,100. They just kept processing one after the other because I was there for a very long time. And another thing while I was writing down, I noticed is they had this street, the Goddard Street in Detroit.
Which one?
Goddard.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Goddard Street. All the people on the Goddard Street were coming up. They almost had the same serial number. After 2232, it would be 2234, and then 2237. And then at which point, I'm like, how is this even possible?
Right. Keep going.
Because one street doesn't go together to the clerk's office to get the ballots. I mean, unless you do that, me and my son have the one after the other because, we both went together. But I don't think the entire street would have gone together to get the ballots. So how is it their numbers are almost next to each other, almost together? And at that point, my antennas went up. I'm like, something is not going right here. Neither are they in the book or in the system. The signature is identical, and then some of them don't have the date on it, the November 1st or 2nd or 3rd or whatever. They don't even have that. And now the street, almost all the people on the street, all of them have gone together, gotten the same series of ballot numbers.
Wow. And
they all voted for Biden. Must be a big street full supporter.
So you were able to see some of these ballots?
Yeah, they opened it and they were straightening it and then putting it in the bin. Yeah.
All those on Goddard Street that came in order.
Yes.
With consecutive addresses and ballot
the
numbers.
address part I didn't see. There's only so much I can take down at some point.
Sure.
But then the Goddard Street and the ballot numbers were almost together.
Okay.
And then there was
And they were all for Biden?
All for Biden. Every single one of them. Throughout my 2 days that I was there, I haven't seen a single ballot for Trump. Not one. And I was there for, you see how many hours, right? And the shocking part was when the military ballots came out, even the military ballots had Joe Biden on them.
Wow.
We were 4 people that went, and only one person saw a Trump ballot.
Wow. Okay. So when did you decide to leave? You said late that night, late Wednesday night?
Wednesday night,
I guess it was
Thursday morning, 1:30. That's when they were sealing the cases.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much everybody was gone, and some of them were open, and I also have the boxes and the numbers of those, the table numbers where they were open. The workers have already gone, and they were waiting for something to print. I think they just have to print the details of ballots that are supposed to be in that box. The printers weren't working. So at 1:30, I kind of figured out some already took the boxes away. Some boxes were still waiting for this printouts to be put in there. At which point I said, you know what, we don't know what was supposed to happen after that. We said, okay, this is too late, so we'll just go. Yeah.
Anything else you witnessed you want to tell me about? This has been pretty interesting, let me tell you. But is there anything else that you feel like we need to cover?
There's so much. It's just that the animosity and the vitriol, just towards, especially us, maybe because they. So one thing I have to tell you is most of those poll workers, they didn't care. They didn't care, about what ballot was there or anything. They were just doing like a monotonous, tedious job of just putting it. But then the one thing that was common for every single person there was that they hated the Republican people. Probably because they thought in their mind that we were there to challenge them, or we were just calling them out for everything that they were doing. But their downright hatred was something that you could just see on broad display. They just hated it. And they had to complain about us, they would immediately turn to the Democrat who's at the table. And I'm like, if you can't talk to me, you shouldn't be talking to them either, right? That's the same rule. But no, they saw a friend in them and enemy in us.
I see. So how did your experience, have you ever done this before?
No.
Okay. How did your experience at the TCF Center, and how did it make you feel about the election?
My blood was boiling.
Do you trust the results?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No. After what I witnessed. And another thing is there was this other lady who, because like as I said, for some reason everybody kept thinking I was an attorney. Then this white lady comes to me and I need your help. I said, what is this? What is it about? She's like, that lady that's near the stage, she just gave me a note. I don't know if you know about that whistleblower thing.
No.
Oh.
Tell me.
Okay, there's this lady who's working on, in the middle of the TCF Center, there is this stage where the commission's officer was there.
Yeah.
And he had on the top of the stage few people that were processing special ballots. I don't know what they were processing. All around that were people who were processing, I think, the provisional ballots or the challenged ballots.
Okay.
On the top were the other ones who were processing, we don't know what they were processing, but they were like the special people up there. So one of the ladies was an Indian lady. She actually walked past me, looked at me, but I thought, same assumption. I thought she's a Democrat, so I didn't really pay much attention. But then she apparently is a poll worker who was on top of the stage. So I was talking to another lady, a GOP lady. So then when this GOP lady was close to the stage, that Indian lady looked at her and signaled at something. And then this lady looked at what is she signaling at, and then she wrote on a sticky, can you meet me at the bathroom? So this lady went to the bathroom, and it seems she wrote it on another sticky note saying, all the ballots that we're processing up there had the date of November 4th, with a sticky note on top of it saying process them as November 2nd.
Wow. Do you know who this person was?
Trump's, I think the Trump victory attorney, the one, Mark Meadows' attorney, I don't know who is. There's so many people, I don't know.
Do you think this was referring to the provisional ballots?
No. Whatever ballots, these huge boxes were taken onto the stage, and they were asked to process them.
What time was this?
On the 4th, somewhere between, I would say, 3 and 5.
$3 p.m. and 5 p.m.
So she told her that, this is what we're doing up there. This is what we've been asked to do. Everything that was received on November 4th they've been asked to enter them as November 2nd. And she gave 2 more notes to this girl, all of which were with the Trump victory attorney. And then she was
Did you witness this?
The giving the notes?
Yes.
No, I did not. But then she came to me because she needed help. Then I connected her with the attorney.
The whistleblower came to you, or
no? The whistleblower came to the lady that I was talking to.
The Indian lady was the one on the stage?
Correct. She's a whistleblower.
She was the whistleblower.
Correct.
She told the white lady.
Correct.
Meet me in the bathroom.
Correct.
She told you about those ballots being backdated. The white lady came and talked to you.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. And then you helped her with the attorney. Wow. So
and attorney got all the notes.
So what ended up happening with that? Was it ever followed up on?
I do not know. We did get an email from Laura Cox saying that there is a whistleblower and they're actually pursuing this.
Wow. From Laura Cox, you said?
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. We have not heard about that yet today.
Okay.
Do you happen to know, have any contact information for someone else who saw that so we could corroborate that story? You can send it to me later if you like.
Yeah, I can ask. She was so scared though. Both of them were so scared. And then this is Laura. She actually was sent out after an hour.
She what?
She was sent away after an hour. I
She
think
was
they kind of
ejected?
figured it. Yeah. Not ejected. I think they just asked her to leave or something happened because she was gone. These poll workers had shifts of like, I think 10 hours or more, but she was there only for 3-4 hours. But one thing I noticed is even on the stage, she was arguing with those people saying something. And I'm like, okay. At the moment I realized that she was the one who gave the details, I try to hang around there so I can probably talk to her. But, because I kept going and helping other people, by the time I came back, she was gone.
Wow. That's incredible. I'm going to need to be sure you get my contact information, because if you are able to put me in touch with the person who witnessed this, that would be very helpful.
Sure.
Very helpful.
Okay.
I mean, everything you've told me thus far has been great, but that one is particularly unique to your story.
Right.
So we want to be sure we check that out. Anything else you want to share with me?
That's about it.
Okay. So I just have to ask, from your personal opinion, I mean, I think you told me at the beginning you were born in a different country and you immigrated here. For all that you went to come to the United States, how does it make you feel to go through an experience like this?
I felt like this was a third world country. I knew these things happen in India.
Yeah. Is that where you were born?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we always thought U.S. elections are so fair and honest. They're so peaceful. Because from the outside, that's exactly what we think happens here. And for this to be like this, I mean, I understand the reason why the mail-in ballot thing was even pushed, but then for that, and for people to do this and actually get away and the way they were resisting us, I didn't even think in this country this was possible. I mean, everything that I just noticed this election cycle just blew my mind. And I'm like, how is it different from any other country that we come from?
How much confidence do you have in the voting results because of this?
I absolutely have no confidence.
I see.
And also probably because, see, when I went to bed after the first day, on the elections day, everything looked great. Like, not great because it was red. I mean, the elections wise, he was leading, Trump was leading, but only because we were there. All the ballots that were stacked on that night, we asked them, why were you not processing? They said, they're not processing. Nobody would even answer us why. And when we were leaving, there were barely any people to even process the rest of the ballots. And the night shift barely had, at least I know, maybe less than a quarter of the staff, the graveyard shift. Then I'm like, who actually processed between that time to, in the morning, 5 o'clock, 100,000 votes, because when we were there throughout the day on the 3rd, we could only, with 134 tables working, they only were able to get, I think, 90,000 done. But somehow, miraculously, from then to morning, they just had all these ballots processed, and it jumped up by 100,000.
So when did you start noticing that Republicans were being kicked out? When did that start happening a lot?
Second day.
What time the second day, roughly?
I reached there almost, as I said, by noon. And then by the time these people were there, like I said, they had the BLM things, but then they came and then they were dancing and chanting and all that. And the first one, I think, probably happened within an hour and a half.
Okay.
It's almost like these people only came with that objective. And these were the common 5 people that were influencing every single table where the people were getting kicked out.
Okay. So am I understanding you correctly? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but did you notice that more Republicans were being kicked out after the time you arrived on Wednesday as opposed to Tuesday?
Correct.
Okay. But all through Tuesday, you said there were lots of ballots that could have been processed,
They were not processed.
but they were not being processed.
Correct.
And then you said between the hours of when and when, you noticed all of a sudden just thousands of ballots got processed was when?
In the night, when I went to bed at
Tuesday.
12:30, Tuesday night, yeah. When
Okay.
I went to bed at 12:30, I was just watching the news. Everything was like okay, because the number of ballots that they reported by the time that, okay, TCF was one of them, but then I know two or three other places were processing it. The number kind of makes sense, because my only thing is the math doesn't add up, because we had 134 tables working, or 5 people on each table working, and the number of ballots, he announced when all those poll workers were leaving that the total number of ballots that got done that day in that shift, like the shift that started from 7 to 8, right? 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., they were pretty much 90,000 ballots. So how did that number jump up within 5 hours after that?
Wow.
By 100,000, with barely anybody in that room left, because everybody left at 8 o'clock. And the next shift started at 9:30, but then for 9:30, they didn't have poll workers. Many of the poll workers left.
So you said they processed about 100,000 ballots in 5 hours?
Correct.
At night?
At night.
Tuesday night?
Yeah, with quarter of a staff.
Wow. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to ask you one more question. Did anybody offer you any compensation or payment to come and speak with me today? Okay. Have you coordinated your story with anybody else who was there?
I've given an affidavit to the Election Integrity Fund with all my notes of the ballot numbers and the names and everything.
But I'm asking if you spoke with anybody and said, hey, we need to make sure our stories are the same.
No.
Okay. Okay, very good. Anything else you want to add?
That's it.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and stop the recorder. And